Hey guys, we're back. We're on to the next topic. Less yapping, more working. So let's get to it. So we're doing things a little bit different. I know I promised other stuff, but I want to get this started before I forget things. That I'm old. I forget things very, very fast. So I wanted to do this for a while, and I was, you know what? Fuck it, we'll just do it. So we're gonna talk about how surveillance makes people paranoid. There's a lot of games that go through surveillance, which we're going to touch upon pretty soon. All right, so under the unblinking eye, horror games exploit how horror games exploit paranoia. We're going to be doing some mythological parallels. We'll be talking about weeping angels, of course. As you've seen, we're going to be using Slender. We're going to be using Silent Hill 3 because of the mirror aspect, and we'll be using Resident Evil Village because they're always watching you. So we'll start with the outline and we'll go from there. So just give me a minute and we'll see what we're going to do here. As usual, the way I start these outlines is I do an introductory paragraph and we'll try to go from there. But definitely we have to mention Big Brother too. Big Brother is very, very important. Okay. So I'm going to give myself about an hour of work time because I do want to rest my voice. That's why I didn't do any dubbing today. I'm just giving myself a couple of days just to rest up. Then as soon as we're done resting up, I'll start dubbing Battler. I'll start working on lore files. So that's pretty much why I decided just to do this one today. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so under the unblinking eye, how horror games exploit paranoia. Okay. All right, let's think of an introductory passage for this. Imagine standing alone in a silent room. No footsteps echo. No eyes meet yours. It's like how Bugs Bunny used to say, "Have you ever had a feeling you're being watched?" Imagine standing alone in a silent room. No footsteps echo. No eyes meet yours. Yet somewhere just beyond your vision, you know that you're not truly alone. Yeah, you're being watched. You can be a little bit descriptive right here. We call that cold sweat. Hmm. Okay. Imagine sitting alone in a silent room. No footsteps echo, no eyes meet yours, yet somewhere just beyond your vision, you know that you're not truly alone. The feeling, that chill crawling down your spine, is not just fear, it's something more insidious, the fear of being watched. Okay, that's good. Again, I just do an introductory passage so I can actually get like a baseline of how I'm gonna do this. Then it's gonna be bullet point galore. It's gonna be bullet hell. So if I'm playing something, well, just in general, if I'm being watched, if I have the feeling I am being watched, you start feeling discomfort, extreme discomfort, cold sweats going down your spine. There's more to that. The chills, definitely chills, goosebumps, the nauseating feeling in your stomach. Yeah, like those are definitely feelings you get when you're being watched. Okay. The main thing is discomfort. Okay. Okay. Make us fear being seen. Okay. Okay. All right. Let's read this and see how it is. Imagine sitting alone in a silent room. No footsteps echo. No eyes meet yours. Yet somewhere just beyond your vision, you know that you're not truly alone. That feeling, that chill crawling down your spine, it's not just fear, it's something more insidious. The fear of being watched. Being watched is simply not discomfort, it is judgment, exposure, and a violation of self, a violation of the self. Horror games just don't show us monsters, they make us fear being seen by something we don't understand. Okay. Alright, I think that's a good introductory paragraph. Now, the hard part. Figuring out what the hell I'm gonna talk about. Give me like a couple of minutes to think here. There's a lot that we can talk about. I just need to start it off right. I mean, I guess we can start at the beginning. Yeah, because the gaze as an ancient fear. There's a couple of examples. Yeah, there's a couple of examples we can use there. I think aloud. Don't mind me. Okay. Yeah, we can do that as an ancient fear. Hmm. I have a couple of examples, but I'll write it. I'll write them down, but I'll have to do some extensive like research and refreshment on some of them. Definitely the Eye of Providence, the Evil Eye, Argus too. Okay, yeah, I'll write them down, but I have to definitely refresh on them. Okay, let's see. Let's try staring at somebody and see how that goes. Some people just don't like being looked at. It's either don't look me directly in the eyes or some other weird nonsense. But yeah, generally people hate being looked upon. Humans have feared the gaze since reported history. No, little time actually. Remember, when you have one of the things that people tell you if a bear's going to attack you is stare at them directly in the eyes. Assert your dominance. So, in a sense, it's a survival mechanism. You will stare down that bear, but we don't know what's going to happen. It's either he backs away or he calls your bluff. And he's probably going to call your bluff. It's a survival mechanism, actually. Yeah, it's a survival mechanism. You will call that that bear's gonna call that buff. We all know what's gonna happen. All right, the stairs are a survival mechanism. Definitely asserting dominance with that analogy I just used, but again, we know what's gonna happen if you're ever in an encounter with a bear. It's either you stare him down, nothing happens, or you stare him down, he just continues the assault. Like you're kind of you're screwed. You're pretty much screwed. Asserting asserting dominance. If I can actually spell, or provoking conflict. Yeah, provoking conflict. Because again, some people, or some things don't like being stared directly in their eyes. Humans have feared the gaze since before recorded time. The stare is a is a survival mechanism used to detect predators, asserting dominance or provoking conflict. Hmm. Okay. Again, I know a couple of examples. I just gotta do some more extensive research because I'm definitely lacking in this area in terms of knowledge. So, for the Eye of Providence, the Eye of Providence, the Eye of Providence is the Eye of Horus. I know about the evil eye, but the evil eye can work. I'd have to give a very. I'll have to give a very loose description of it because again, it's. I know of it, but I can go into a little bit. I can go into better detail if I have time to actually sit down and read some more. Okay. Definitely gotta refresh on that one. That's so scuffed. I think 3 is good for now. If I can think of something else later, we can probably add more to that. Okay, so the Eye of Providence definitely researched. Eye of Horus definitely researched that one. Evil Eye just refresh because it's been a bit. It's definitely been a bit. Okay. For now, we'll go with these three. If I can think of something later, then we'll be good. Okay. Okay. So in a sense, horror inherits this framework, but strips away the sacred context. The gaze becomes unholy. Okay. Okay. Humans have feared the gaze since before recorded time. The stare is a survival mechanism used to detect predators, asserting dominance or provoking conflict. Examples being the Eye of Providence, research more. The Eye of Horus, research more. The Evil Eye, just again, it's a loose description. I know a little bit of it, but not a lot. But I do know some of it. So it's just a curse born from envious attention, feared across cultures as destructive force from a mere glance. Okay. So in a sense, horror inherits this framework, but strips away the sacred context. The gaze becomes unholy. Okay. All right. So we've started at the beginning. The ancient history example. Well, I guess we can talk about how it affects us cognitively, I guess. Because the primary thing is to be the Amgala. I mean, we talk about the Amgala a lot, but it's that little peanut shaped thing in our dome is the fear center, is the command center. Because the brain will recognize fear in an instant. Okay, yeah, we can do section two as just talking about the Amgala. Not we don't need to go that crazy. Okay, that's what we'll do. Section two is so the brain knows you're being watched. Okay. I'm just thinking about how I can actually write this. Just give me like a minute. Give me 1 second. Does this work? Give me 1 second, guys. Anyway, sorry about that. Okay, back to this. So we're definitely gonna be talking about the Yamgala. We'll focus more on that little tiny pea-shaped, well, peanut-shaped thing in our head. We'll focus more on that. We can talk about more, but it's gonna primarily be the Yamgala. I've talked about the Yamgala so much on this channel. Okay, so even without proof, we feel the gaze. Simple enough. All right. Now the fun part. The Yamgala. I can't forget. I actually spell this right. There we go. Which again is just the brain spirit center. Our brain sphere center. Oh, fuck. Yeah, because yeah, it'll work. So the Yamgala brain sphere center. Shit. Activates. Wow. Activities. That's so weird. Very weird. The Yamgala brain sphere center activates. Actually, yeah. Okay, we can do this. Activates in response to. Capcom's fixation with eyes, especially in Resident Evil 2. The Amygdala, brain's fear center, activates in response to eye-like shapes and even artificial ones. I can give more examples of that. So, paintings, 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 definitely paintings. Paintings where the eyes are like the central focus. I just can't think of one at the top of my head. But definitely, for at least for me, paintings. Yeah, when the eyes are like extremely detailed, that's a good one. Not so much statues, but if you played a good chunk of horror games with the eyes just with the whole statue's head just moves, yeah, that shit's kind of scary. But more so, that's more so of the head thing. But definitely paintings for sure. Uh, you always have the feeling you're being watched when a painting is staring at you, which they did do a good example of that back in the day, like in like cartoons. You'll have like using Scooby Doo as an example. You'll have a they'll be in some random ass haunted house of the day. There'll be a painting. They'll be then the irises will be like staring at them, following them. That shit's scary, at least for me. So we can talk about that. We can talk about paintings, mannequins, definitely mannequins. Oh yeah, definitely mannequins. Yeah, screw those assholes. I think Weeping Angels from Doctor Who. I can put that as its own little section, but for now, yeah, okay. The Amygdala, brain's fear center, activates in response to eye-like shapes, even artificial ones. So why? Cortisol gets activated, that's for sure. Adrenaline too. Definitely cortisol. Yeah, you'll get the cortisol spike. Ah. All right. Okay, We'll talk about portraits first. So painted. I can actually spell right now. Ashley was able to spell. Holy shit. All right. So with central focused eyes can increase cortisol levels. Okay. Okay. Mannequins. I'll give you a good example. Well, I'll give you me example. So for some weird reason, my dad was a hoarder back in the day. So in our garage, for some weird reason, he had torso mannequins, like just the upper portion, hanging on the walls, and it's like at least four of them. Like what? So every time I go inside the garage, I'm like, this is terrifying. Like, are they like? I was a scared little bitch when I was a kid. I'm not gonna deny that. I was a yeah, the horror YouTube lore guy, amongst other lore things. It was a little bitch when he was a kid, but no, like mannequins are scary. Mannequins is definitely one of my big phobias back in the day. Um, God, what was that fucking game called? I'm gonna remember it. I'm not gonna. I'm gonna. I don't. I'm drawing a blank right now, but I don't remember it. All right, whatever. But yeah, mannequins definitely are scary. All right. So mannequins, mannequins. Yeah, I guess statues, mannequins, statues. Dolls. Yeah, or blank face dolls. Looking at you, Annabelle. Blank face dolls. Blank face dolls. Spark. Flight or flight. Mannequin statues or blank face dolls can spark fight or flight. It's the ambiguity, yeah, through visual ambiguity. Through visual ambiguity. Okay. It's the clock. All right. So I'm gonna finish up. I'm gonna finish up this section, then we're gonna wrap it up. Again, I just wanted to take a break today. It took a while to get that horror video out, and my voice is killing me. That's why we didn't actually do that's why we didn't do any dubbing today, because I have two projects that I'm working on. Battler has to get dubbed, the Human Lore one, and Lore Files has to get dubbed. But I'm like, yeah, I can do that in a couple of days. Let's take a break, because getting that video uploaded yesterday was so stressful. Because as I mentioned in the pinned comments, it's like closed captioning is terrible for CapCut. It really is. Like, I didn't experiment with that. It's like you'll make corrections, then it'll just like butcher the corrections for some weird reason. And I know why. It's because I'm using an older version. Because again, I'm not paying for shit. Y'all had better things before you made the paywall. All right, so mannequin statues or blank face dolls can spark fight or flight through visual ambiguity. So let's give an example of this. Let's talk about horror games. Manipulate. These neural. And there's a reason why I picked the 3 games that we're doing. Obviously, because Slender, you stare at them, you fucking die. Silent Hill 3 is more so. It's not necessarily the fear of being watched. It's just the mirror aspect of it. Because Heather, as people know, is deeply afraid of mirrors. Because there's a lot going in Silent Hill 3. Obviously, because Heather equals Alessa. So you're technically not. You're you, but you're not you at the same time. It's like there's a lot of shenanigans happening at play, but mirrors play a big role in Silent Hill 3, as the infamous mirror room will show, Memory of Alessa. So we're taking a different approach to that one. We'll go into more detail when we get to that section. And obviously, Resident Evil Village, Mother Miranda's watchful eye. Chris, what the hell? Well, we're not bashing RE8. We're not bashing it, but damn, Chris, like, why'd you just tell him? You should have just told him. The things that Chris Redfield does with precision. Horror games manipulate these neural triggers with precision. So I alluded to this. So again, portraits, the eyes seem like they're following you. Subtly. All right, that's good. The environment. Definitely the environment. So distant noises that imply that something is out there, implying a presence. So distant sounds. like floorboards, like floorboards creaking, floorboards creaking. Yeah, creaking behind you, implying a presence. A presence. I totally butchered that, but it's fine. Okay, one more. Shadows. Definitely shadows. Subtle shadow movements. Specific ones. Subtle shadow movement that vanishes. Fatal Frame is notorious for this. That vanishes. When you turn. Yeah, Fatal Frame is very notorious for this. Okay, when you turn. So you fear not what you see, but what might be seeing you. Okay. Let's go over things before we start wrapping things up. Okay. So imagine sitting alone in a silent room. No footsteps echo, no eyes meet yours, yet somewhere just beyond your vision, you know that you're not truly alone. That feeling, that chill crawling down your spine, is not just fear, it's something more insidious. The fear of being watched. Being watched is simply not discomfort. Okay, I'm putting these glasses back on. It is judgment, exposure, and a violation of the self. Horror games just don't show us monsters, they make us fear being seen by something we don't understand. Section 1: The gaze as an ancient fear. Humans have feared the gaze since before recorded time. The stare is a survival mechanism used to detect predators, asserting dominance, and provoking conflict. Again, after this, I'll start doing extensive research on these. The Eye of Providence, the Eye of Horus, the Evil Eye, which again I have a very loose description of it. A curse born from envious attention, fear across cultures as a destructive force from a mere glance. So in a sense, horror inherits this framework, but strips away the sacred context. The gaze becomes unholy. Section 2. The brain knows you're being watched. Even without proof, we feel the gaze. The Angala, the peanut-shaped thing in your brain that is the fear center. Our brain's fear center activates in response to eye-like shapes, even artificial ones. An example being painted portraits with central focused eyes can increase cortisol levels. Mannequins, statues, or blank-faced dolls can spark fight or flight through visual ambiguity. Horror games manipulate these neural triggers with precision. Portraits whose eyes track your movements subtly. Distant sounds like floorboards creaking behind you, implying a presence. Subtle shadow movement that vanishes when you turn. You fear not what you see, but what might be seeing you. You fear not what you see, but what might be seeing you. Okay. So again, apologize for the relatively short stream day, but I need to just take a break because yesterday was a very, very, very annoying editing day. But we got the video out. It's there. A very extensive video on horror games and running. So tomorrow we'll get back at it. I'll start in a couple of days. I start dubbing the other videos, then we'll get those out as soon as possible, and we'll tackle other projects. And as usual, I take requests. They take top priority. So just let me know if y'all want some lore on some random topic. 9 times out of 10, I'll probably know. Other than that, I'll see people tomorrow. Have a good rest of your day.